is 5:30 on September 16th, I believe, yes. So let the record show that all members are present except for Board Member Smart and Board Member Mahatma Khani, but we do have a quorum. So, Mr. Stephen Hall, our Chief Communications Officer, will introduce students to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, board members. We are so pleased tonight to be joined by students from Watkins Elementary to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Students, as I call your name, would you please come forward? We have Temple Neal, Mercy Neal, and Liberty Neal. Principal Joanna Brockwell selected these students to represent Watkins tonight. Temple, raise your hand, is a 5th grader. Liberty is a 3rd grader. Can you raise your hand? Great. And Mercy is a 1st grader. Mrs. Brockwell said that these sisters consistently model school expectations for being safe, respectful, and focused on their learning. She shared with us that during her 6 years at Watkins, at least one member of the Neal family has attended there, and next year, their brother Ezra will enter kindergarten at Watkins. Hi, Ezra. We are honored to have these students with us tonight, and we would also like to recognize any other Watkins staff and family members who are in attendance. If you would please stand. And family. And at this time, we invite our audience to stand as well and join our Watkins students as they lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Ezra, would you like to come up? No, he's going to stay put. Whenever you're ready, students. Picture here. Let's also get a photo with Ms. Brockwell as well. Well done, students, and thank you. We'll now proceed with honoring excellence with some more recognition for positive behavior interventions and supports, PBIS. Tonight, we're pleased to honor 2 more of our schools that have received a prestigious award from Missouri School-Wide Positive Behavior Support for outstanding implementation of PBIS at their sites. And as a reminder, PBIS stands for Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. Disney and Watkins Elementary Schools have earned Tier 1 recognition. The remaining 4 schools will be recognized at our October board meeting. This recognition highlights a school's dedication to fostering a positive and conducive learning environment through the consistent application of PBIS strategies. This time, I would like to invite Principals Melissa Agnew, Lori Elliott, and Joanna Brockwell, along with their team members, to come forward. And we have 2 principals representing Disney this evening. Melissa Agnew is our new principal at Disney, and Lori Elliott is now the principal at Boyd, but was at Disney for several years, so we invite the entire team forward. I would also like to introduce Karen Murray. Karen is a school improvement school-wide PBS consultant with the Agency for Teaching, Leading, and Learning at Missouri State University, and she has joined us to make a special presentation, and will allow Karen to tell us more about the success of these schools and the significance of this award. Karen?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me come out. This is one of my favorite things acknowledging the great hard work of schools at Springfield. So, Disney, during our initial walkthrough, I was so impressed with the level of shared leadership amongst their PBIS team. As I observed in and out of classrooms, it was so evident that their PBIS strategies were not just in the hallway, but were in every classroom. From the administrators to the counselor to their PBIS leadership team, the adults at Disney Elementary School were using behavior data to improve student outcomes. Congratulations, Disney. And under the leadership of Mrs. Brockwell, Watkins Elementary School exhibits PBIS strategies throughout their school, and their use of student data to reinforce positive behavior supports work together to support the goals of their school. We were impressed with the open communication that Watkins has between their school, their families, and their communities with lots of neat strategies. On a side note, my colleague Andrea Rockney, who was part of their interview process, shared with me that she was so impressed with Watkins' all-hands-on-deck approach. During their interview, there was a need to cover for a secretary, and they just moved the interview right to the front desk. And, and Andrea was saying she was so impressed with just the level of friendliness and and knowledge that was exhibited building-wide. So congratulations to Watkins. It's a joy to work with these schools. Thank you.
Congratulations to the Disney and Watkins teams. And again, we will have additional PBIS recognitions at our October board meeting. In the audience this evening, we have a group of Hillcrest High School students accompanied by their teacher, Mrs. Courtney Dameron. Would you all please stand, Hillcrest team? We'll go ahead and take a photo with this group as well. Let me tell you about this group. They are here to observe our school board meeting because of their interest in becoming teachers in the future. Mrs. Dameron, we appreciate your leadership and the entire class for being here this evening. Let's take a photo together and then I'll tell you more about this group. Thank you all. These students are Hillcrest seniors, and they are participating in the College and Career Academy Teaching Pathway. They were interested in attending the meeting tonight because they are currently learning about the goals and purposes of public education and the Board of Education as a governing body. We welcome these students to our meeting and we appreciate their interest in a future career in education. To conclude our recognitions tonight, it is my honor to introduce our September Employee of the Month. The recipient is an elementary music educator whose career in public education has spanned 41 years. She intentionally uses vocal music to reinforce lessons in other content areas such as language arts, math, history, and science. Let's watch this video to learn more about Barbara Niffen.
My name is Barbara Niffen. I teach vocal music here in the district. This is my 20th year in the district. and my 41st year of teaching.
Miss K is one of a kind. She is an outstanding employee by making everyone feel welcome. Everyone is welcome in her classroom and feels invited.
The most rewarding part is seeing the kids when they accomplish our goals. How they try, sometimes they don't get it the first time they want to, but they are consistent and determined and willing to work, and they finally make it. We're taking all their school subjects together and putting it in one fine present, from the sentence structure of the lyrics and the meaning of the lyrics, to the mathematics of the rhythmic structure, to the history of the culture that the song is from, to the science of the acoustics of performing. It's like we've taken it and put it all into one big collaboration, one big party. And what else can be better than that?
She finds ways to make sure that music is in every part of our lives.
It offers such self-expression, such a boost in their mood and their motivation, that it can help them in what they're trying to learn. The impact that it makes in their overall learning is abundant.
I think one of Ms. Niffin's true gifts as a teacher is working with our students with disabilities. She finds ways for them to use their voice. We do have students who haven't mastered verbal communication yet, and she finds ways through music or through actions to help them be successful.
Oh, gives me pain. Whoa. Oh my.
When a student finds that they have the music within them, and seeing them discover that self-expression that they never really knew they had, it's wonderful. I'm only one person in a group of about 73 very dedicated elementary, middle school, and high school teachers here in our district that teach music. And we all know the impact that music has made in our lives and our learning, and that's what we hope to share with the students of SPS.
Let's welcome Barbara Niffen.
I feel very fortunate to be in the district and work with two fine groups. The group of music educators, which I said about 73 of us, and then another wonderful group of about 61 teachers at Truman Elementary. And when you get to be able to do a job with people that are wonderful to work with, it really makes it not a have to, but it makes a get to. So I feel very fortunate where I've been placed. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's have Dr. Shevchuk join us as well. And that concludes honoring excellence for this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Our next agenda item is the approval of the agenda. Our recommended action is that the board approve the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thomas Tate moved and Board Member Huff seconded. Let's vote. I hope I'm in correctly. Whoops. There, it just came up, sort of. Okay, let's vote. And we have 5 out of 5 affirmative votes. Thank you. We now have come to the portion of our meeting where we hear from speakers. The Board of Education welcomes comments about the issues being discussed. The board uses this time in our meeting to listen to the public, but will not comment or engage with the public during the meeting. The board allows for up to 10 speakers per public comment period. The board chair will call on individuals in the order in which they signed up. Substitutions are not permitted. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes and will be timed by the board secretary. Comments must be acceptable for a business and family-friendly environment. Inappropriate language, gestures, or personal attacks will not be tolerated. It is inappropriate to address the board about individual students or individual staff members by name in an open meeting. If you have concerns about individuals, these concerns should be addressed through the appropriate administrative supervisors, either in the schools or in the district office. If you have materials that you want to share, please place them in the tray on the podium and they will be distributed to board members following the meeting. Our first speaker tonight is Sharon Benton.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Benton, and I am here representing a group of Springfield residents who share a fence line with the Pershing School property, including myself. Many of us have only recently learned that the Pershing renovation, promoted in Proposition S and clearly and specifically presented to the voters as such, down to the very individual items listed in public videos that would be addressed, now is to be a complete rebuild and not in the school's current location, but tucked into the far northeast corner and along our property lines. We are surprised and disappointed nothing has ever been mentioned to the neighbors most impacted with this change. Some are asking, is this drastic after the vote change even legal? We support having a better facility for the neighborhood students. However, we strongly desire that the new school be placed on this very large piece of property anywhere but imposing on our properties and our privacy. We have seen the preliminary site plan for the new location and have a variety of concerns. Some of these are privacy. Will school windows offer views into our yards and homes? Consistency. Since the inception of Pershing, there has always been a considerable buffer between the residents and the school. Water runoff. Several homes already have drainage issues, and replacing a field with impermeable concrete and a building can only make matters worse. Noise, night lighting, fire lanes / road along our fence line. Will this create a steady stream of traffic from cars, delivery trucks, trash pickups? Will headlights shine into our homes? Decrease in property value. A well-respected realtor has already confirmed this to one resident. 2 years of construction noise all day long, virtually in our backyards. As previously mentioned, some of us only learned last week about this potential major upheaval to our current quality of life. We respectfully request you seriously consider our concerns and find a location on the existing property far more suitable to a school property surrounded by private residences and more respectful of the owners of those properties. I have an additional list of comments from some of the neighbors to leave with you. They should renovate the school and leave it where it has always been. That is what I thought I was voting for. Seriously, part of the school is 2 stories. Hope there aren't any windows on the east side. Are we going to smell the dumpsters? I can already hear them across the field being emptied at strange hours. What's it going to be like when they're this close to our homes? There goes my view, the sky, the trees. A realtor told me there was no question my property value would go down if windows were looking into our houses and/or we were gazing at the side of a building. and a number of others. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sharon. Moving on to our consent agenda items. These are the minutes, KCOB reports, personnel, and treasurer reports. Our recommended action is that the board approve consent agenda items 4.01 through 4.04. Do I have a motion? Vice President Kincaid moved. Is there a second? Dr. Thomas Tate. Any discussion? Let's vote. I think mine came up and I voted. I did vote, thought. Okay. Well, it shows that I voted, but then I don't see everybody else's. So we'll just do a quick roll call for Tammy's benefit. Board Member Huff? Aye. Chair votes aye. 5 votes in favor. Thank you all. Deputy Superintendent of Academics, Dr. Nicole Holt, will join us at the podium and provide a presentation on academic updates for this school year, along with Dr. Crystal Majors. Thank you to both of you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Can that go full screen or no? Can it go full screen? Can you make it full screen? She's like, I can't hear it. Okay, we'll just move. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity for Dr. Majors and myself to be here to share an update on Governing Priority 1. The first thing I would like to say is while we are here giving the presentation, this work is not just ours. It is the work of all of our principals and leaders, all of the staff members on our campuses, and most importantly, the very important work of our teachers. So we just get to be the ones that get to highlight it and share it tonight, but we are extremely thankful for each of them and the work that they do for all of our kiddos. So our time together will really be spent just providing the board an update on Governing Priority 1, which you are very familiar with, is Success Ready Students, and any aligned academic work that falls under that umbrella. While we would love to be sharing specific state data with you tonight, unfortunately, that is not released yet. So it is preliminary, and that will be very soon, but we will share just a little bit of data that we have from our universal screener. Again, not things that are unfamiliar to you, but just a reminder of the 4 governing priorities that exist within our strategic plan, and that while we're only giving information tonight about Success Ready students, we know that all of those are impacted as we engage and work across the system. Also a reminder about how this work situates within Dr. Lathan as well as the executive leadership team's goals. So her first goal this year is under Governing Priority 2, and this is really about the management of organizational systems, which we know has been an ongoing conversation in the system and really helps us support the staffing models that we have on our campuses or across the district. The following 2 superintendent goals. Number 2 is about Governing Priority 1, speaking specifically to Objective 1.1, which you know to be continuous growth towards mastery in our academic areas. And really the focus in this year is how we implement and analyze that common formative assessment data to help us drive students to proficiency. So with the implementation of a new universal screener and the information and data that it provides us, we're really focusing in this year on that specific piece of the strategic plan. And goal 3 is Objective 1.3, which again, not unfamiliar to you, but this is specific to the learning environment and culture that we create both inside of our schools as well as in each individual classroom. And strategies B and C are really the priority. How are we continuing to implement consistent behavior programming across the system? You heard a feature of that tonight in honoring excellence, but also what learning are we continuing to give both to our teachers and to our leaders to support them in the endeavors around culture on their campuses. These 8 specific focus areas Dr. Lathan shared at our back to school meeting with all staff members as well as with the community during Good Morning Springfield. And these are just additional items of focus that will drive the work of our teams in SPS this year. It's clear here that you can see the connection between governing priority 1 and several, 5 actually, of the 7, 8 priorities. So speaking specifically around focus area 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8 when we think about the work of success-ready students. Here is how we will spend our time tonight. We will give you a little bit of update within each of the 6 objectives that exist under governing priority 1. So the first one speaks to growth. The second one about the implementation of our curriculum. 1.3 we've touched on about our positive classroom environment, equitable access and opportunity, the professional learning we're providing, and the real-world learning opportunities that continue to prioritize some of the work across our system. So we'll dive into each of those areas tonight. Beginning with objective 1.1. So just a refresher, across the last 5 years, one of the things that I think Dr. Majors and I are most proud of is our consistency. So Dr. Lathan came into this system with a clear vision around academic prioritization, and that included us being very clear and consistent in what we level up across the system. And those 3 things in bold continue to be our primary focuses. How are we working as a system to develop professional learning communities in all the academic spaces across our system? Tier 1 instruction has really, you've heard it over and over again from this exact space that you sit in, but how are we ensuring that the instruction that's delivered first time to our students in classrooms is grade appropriate, that we provide a model or a framework for teachers to know what teaching behaviors and student behaviors they should expect to see in classrooms across our system, and that's our instructional strategy implementation guide, or what people in this room would call the SIG for ease. We also have talked about in the last year really deep engagement. What does that look like for students to be deeply engaged? And then how do teachers hold students highly accountable for their learning? So those priorities have not shifted. We've just spent time deepening them in the things that we know are already good for teachers and good for students. And obviously the clarity of systems was the third piece, and that was really about the behaviors, how we address student behavior and misbehavior in our classrooms, and how we proactively approach student discipline on our campuses. As we've shifted into this year, our academic teams have really begun to narrow in. While we've been crystal clear on what the expectations are across classrooms and why, right? Because we are supporting our students' learning and our growth towards mastery. We got really clear this year about some of the things that we're not going to be doing anymore. And we shared this with our leaders at their back to school meetings, and they've shared with teachers across our campus. And so while it may sound harsh to some, I think the clear is kind, as we've heard before. And so how do we make sure that we articulate this vision from the top of the organization down into classrooms? Well, we tell people what we're not going to accept. And so when we think about governing priority 1, we know what sound research says. And we know that a guaranteed and viable curriculum is what moves students to mastery. And so we're holding our teachers highly accountable and our leaders highly accountable for ensuring that the guaranteed and viable curriculum exists in every classroom space across our system. That it is not only what they go to for Tier 1 instruction, but it's what they go to for intervention and reteach. We also had to get a little bit more accountable to the use of outside resources. And this is just us being completely crystal clear with you. We have a process in our district for teachers to vet a resource that does not exist in our current curriculum, and we're asking them to do that. So if students' needs are not being met with what we have provided, then we want them to come to the PLT table and to use data and to have a conversation about the use of a different resource. This is not us saying that they can't use them. It's just saying that we're going to use data to guide that process. We believe in high quality materials, and that's what we want in front of our students because they deserve it. We also aren't going to be willing to lower the expectation of the essential. Our teams, both at the district and at the school level, have taken a lot of time looking at their data to decide what absolutely has to be taught at each grade level in order for students to move to the next grade level. And if we've agreed that those things are essential for our learners and scholars across the system, then we're going to teach those purposefully. Again, because we've said it's what they must learn. So when we see an essential not being taught, we have an obligation to address it. And then we're not going to take the path of least resistance. We talked a lot about how we meet students and we move them because we want them to proficiency. And so we're going to ask our teachers and our leaders to be doing those things across our classrooms. We also have moved into a place in our system where we are taking the priorities that we see in the strategic plan as well as the academic priorities, and we're aligning that with our evaluation systems. So the way in which we provide growth and feedback to our teachers and the way in which we provide growth and feedback to our leaders. So you can see here, teachers have an opportunity to select a self-selected indicator each year on their growth plans, but they also have some district or site indicators. You can see the teachers listed there in direct alignment with governing priority 1. How are they utilizing the curriculum to differentiate instruction in their classrooms? And how are they using PBIS to support them in managing behavior? Leaders, similarly, we would expect that they would be in classrooms providing meaningful feedback to teachers on those indicators, and that they would be using data to drive the decisions that they're making in their classrooms and in their buildings. Speaking specifically to our new universal screener, if you are not familiar, that is called the STAR assessment. It supports us in knowing how to accelerate math and reading growth across the system. So just a little by the numbers here for you, you can see that these are the completed assessments that we've given so far this year. You can note underneath the bands in which those assessments were given. So the first STAR reading piece, which is our literacy assessment, was for our students in grades 2, all the way up through our students in high school that are in English 2. The STAR early literacy assessment was for grade 1, and then STAR math for students in grade 1, all the way up through our high school students that are in algebra 2. Our kindergarten students completed the STAR early literacy assessment, will complete the STAR early literacy assessment beginning in November. So we give them a little bit of time before we assess them, as well as STAR math, again, a little bit later in the school year. So this is new to us this year, but we felt like we wanted you to have a little bit of information about who's testing and when they're testing. Additionally, we're excited because one of the things we didn't have with our prior universal screener was the ability to roll up an overall district reading and math proficiency score. We had it by grade level, but never a holistic picture of the district. So of our students that engaged in these assessments, you can see where they came in at the beginning of the year. So just a reminder, this is the number of students who are predicted to score proficient if they were to be taking the end of year assessment. So they took it right now, and this is where they would score. So just giving you some context there on that. Why we like this is because it closely mirrors the proficiency levels that we get at the end of the year when our students take the MAP or the EOC. So that's where we sit currently. And then you heard us talk a little bit earlier about the prioritization of common formative assessments. Renaissance DNA is the side of the platform that shows us that level of data. When our students are taking those assessments ongoing across the school year, we get instant scoring, so we know exactly how people score after they take the assessment, and it gives us reporting opportunities to ensure that teachers can intervene at the point of difficulty for our students. So we're excited that we have assessments in all tested content areas. So teachers can draw down assessments that we know are clearly aligned to those tested areas. They also have the opportunity to work from a bank of questions should they want to create an assessment specific to a gap they saw for their students. So you can see there the number, over 370 standards that are aligned to the formative assessments that live in Renaissance DNA, which is fabulous if you are a teacher in the system currently. We also are really excited about a Pathway to Progress middle school intervention class, dedicated time in the master schedule for our middle school students across the system, where we, for the first time ever, have curriculum standard base that's comprehensive, not only to first time teach, but to reteach and enrichment. So they can actually pull down guaranteed and viable curriculum, not only for tier 1, but for when students need a reteach or are not being as successful with the current content, or for our students that come in and are already successful, what are we doing that's standards aligned to enrich them? So this was definitely a gap that we had seen, and we're excited for this dedicated time that our middle school students are getting to make their way to proficiency. plan, again, not something that is unfamiliar to you, but a state requirement that we are meeting is making sure that we have reading success plans for our students at the elementary level. And so what you see on the screen are the students that we provide this additional support plan for. DESE did recently release a new requirement for reading success plans that impacts our students in grades 6 through 12. So this will primarily this year impact our 6th grade students, and campuses are going to be receiving more updated information on what that looks like for our students that move beyond elementary school.
Okay, good evening. I have the privilege to highlight the work done around Objective 1.2. As you know, Reveal math implementation began last December, right after board approval. I think we started the next day, and occurred monthly through the end of the 2024-25 school year. The early learning focused on ensuring readiness. Those of you who remember the multiple times we've talked about the curriculum management plan, what we've learned after evaluating curriculum is that readiness is very, very important. So we're excited that we were able to start that in December. So that's what early learning focused on. As we moved into March and April, the learning focus was to ensure staff and principals had the knowledge and skills to implement the curriculum with integrity. In February, teachers, leaders, and DDISs came together to align essential standards and PACE feedback. It's really important that our teachers have feedback in that, so they gave it a once-over and made sure that we were aligned to what's expected of the state of Missouri. We are continuing Model Classroom this year, which is hosted after school without students, but this year we've added an additional opportunity called Learning Lab. This is an opportunity for teachers to record themselves teaching a lesson live and engage with colleagues for coaching and feedback. In addition, our CDC members this year will be spending their time quarterly getting a substitute and observing lessons across the district live with students. Backed by popular demand was the trade-out day for Teach Forward 2025. So we continue to offer this as an option for teachers who attended their Teach Forward session in the summer, had the ability on August 14th to remain in their classroom, spending those 6 hours preparing for students. You'll notice that over half of our teachers chose to engage in the learning in the summer. We are excited to kick off Family Curriculum Academy this year in all title sites, as we provide an opportunity for parents to experience learning alongside their child as we develop transparency about teaching and learning across SPS.
So back to Objective 1.3 now. This is specific to a positive classroom environment. So an exciting learning opportunity that we gave you a little bit of a peek into at the end of last year was our professional learning plan for our paraprofessionals. Consistently across the last several years, we've heard that paraprofessionals just need some additional support and training as they engage with students across our system, not just academically, but also behaviorally. And so we were excited to partner with them on August 14th. Over 475 paraprofessionals across the system attended. It was a day-long training, and you can see there they found the content to be highly relevant. As we have collaborated with them, we are going to be able this year to offer 12 additional learning hours across the system to our paraprofessionals to make sure that we don't just hit them at the beginning of the year and then they never hear anything else, but they get that same approach that we do with our teachers, where it's some ongoing touch points to support them with implementing the learning they received on August 14th. You're no strangers to this either, but we continue to offer dedicated learning time for our principals, assistant principals, and coordinators of site intervention specific to Objective 1.3, which is around student behavior and the implementation of PBIS across our system. So on July 17th, that dedicated day occurred, and we had over 125 leaders that were in attendance. This year was really about equipping them for a successful launch for PBIS. So we've had PBIS in our system, but this was an opportunity for them to engage with one another about what worked for you at the beginning of the year last year, what worked for me, how can I freshen up things if I've been implementing for several years. We also gave them the chance to reflect on the practices that were most successful in increasing student learning and where buildings were seeing positive outcomes, how can they share that with other leaders? So this was a great time of collaboration and equipping them for that first touch point with both their teachers and their students in their buildings. You already had a lot of foreshadowing about this as you have at previous board meetings, but we're excited about our campuses that are engaging at high levels with relationship to positive behavior support interventions and supports across our system. Just to give you a little bit of information, here are the qualifiers for why we implement or why awards of excellence are provided. So you can see it's reinforcing the efforts that our staffs are giving to implement this model. It also supports others in the region with having exemplar schools. So here are the schools that we are honoring this year for their implementation of Tier 1. Some of them were with us tonight. You'll see the others across the next couple of board meetings. But I also think it's worth noting that while the ones there you can see are being awarded for implementation of Tier 1, York Elementary continues to be a leader and getting recognized across the region. They received awards of excellence in Tiers 1, 2, and 3. So we're super excited about that level of implementation. Again, this year we provided our substitute teachers some professional learning opportunities at the beginning of the school year and another one as we transition to the semester. But this is an hour-and-a-half learning that occurred both on August 12th and August 14th. We had 53 substitutes that attended across those 2 days. And again, just laying the foundation for them. Here are some key takeaways as you're engaging in classrooms across our system related to what we implement with PBIS, and we give them really practical strategies, knowing that they're just walking in, not with the same amount of information that our teachers have, but enough to support them as they navigate classrooms in our system.
Okay, for objective 1.4, we're going to include growth for current programming and the addition of some new strategies. If you remember, 4 years ago, we began the Future Educators program, and we started with 7 future educators. We are so excited because on August 7th, we signed 23 future educators. Another exciting point is that among the 23, there was representation from all 5 high schools in SBS, and 7 of our future educators are currently employed in SBS. So huge celebration and growth with future educators. A new program that we're implementing in partnership with Missouri State University was kicked off this summer, which is Pathways for Paraprofessionals. We began this summer with 10 paraprofessionals enrolled in the program, and 4 of the 10, we started the year, I think, with 17 open positions in special education, and 4 of those 10 were able to fill those vacant special education positions because of the program that they're in. They were able to obtain a provisional certification, and we are really excited. They're doing really well. They were ready, and it really helped support students across SBS. This fall, we are adding 5 additional paraprofessionals to the program, and I think maybe every week we get emails from paraprofessionals who have just heard about the program. So we are really excited about the start, and we expect it to grow as well.
And because she won't brag on herself, Dr. Majors is actually one of the instructors for that program.
Just paving the way. My team will take them over eventually. So because of your support, the identified strategic support schools kicked off their 25-26 learning ahead of the school year. They will continue to participate in additional learning that's customized to support the needs of their specific campus. Last year, we implemented Newcomer Academy, so today we're just celebrating. As with any new program, we are constantly monitoring student achievement data to determine if it is having a positive impact on student achievement. So our English language learners take the WIDA access test. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's given annually to English learners in kindergarten through grade 12, and the purpose is to monitor students' progress in learning academic English. Over 74% of the students who attended the Newcomer Academy showed growth, with some groups exceeding 90% growth. And since Dr. Klinkenbeard isn't here to brag on herself, this is a program that she is going across the nation to share about, because other districts are wanting to replicate what we're doing because of the impact on students. So our ELD team at the bottom, you'll notice that they're continuing to offer learning cohorts on 7 steps to a language-rich classroom. This training, we've gotten positive feedback from staff. It really equips teachers to meet our ELS learning needs in the classroom when they're not at Newcomer Academy. For Objective 1.5, you've already heard about some professional learning, but we want to highlight some additional professional learning offered to teachers and staff. We hosted our 3rd annual Lead Forward Institute for all site guiding coalitions. One celebration is we increased the number of participants representing peer districts. This is a decision that we decided was to open it up. We are larger than some of our peer districts, so we can offer learning like this, but it is very affordable for them to attend because it's in Springfield, Missouri. So we increased that number from about 60 to 91 this year, and we expect that to grow. Participants heard from nationally known speakers with a focus on PLC, assessment, and behavior solutions. An added support for our campuses this year is those that are identified by DESE as underperforming had the opportunity to attend 2 days of learning on response to intervention with Bill Ferreter. A key difference in this learning is that this learning was open to every staff member in their entire site. Typically, when we have learning, we have to limit it because of the number of buildings. So typically, like Lead Forward, it's only the guiding coalition. The difference is that our underperforming campuses had the opportunity to bring their entire staff, knowing that the entire staff needs the learning if we're really going to project forward. This summer, you heard us talk about the Solution Tree Coaching Academies. This summer, 25 schools completed the final 2 days of either a PLC or an RTI coaching academy. And we are super excited to see these campuses transfer learning to action in the 25-26 school year. We've already heard lots of stories about RTI happening every single day, every week of the school year. On July 28th, principals and data-driven instructional specialists attended a full day of learning as they practiced analyzing and responding to data to adjust instructions, so then they could go back and lead their teams. We continued, this was the 2nd summer that we have offered special education leader learning. We continued this, but this year we included process coordinators. A focus was on maximizing the Leader PC partnership to support students who have an individualized education plan in the building. We understand that the partnership, the PC and the Leader, have to work hand in hand to ensure that every student's needs are met. So we were excited about that addition. On July 14th, we hosted Paula Maker, who really specializes in accelerating essential learning in schools seeking significant gains in student achievement. One thing that you'll notice on the right of the slide, that this learning was for executive directors, directors, and coordinators of learning. It's very important in order to provide the highest level of support for campuses that those of us who are leading the learning and making decisions increase our capacity and calibrate with one another to ensure alignment across the district. We are also excited because we are welcoming Paula Maker back for Lead Forward, and that learning will be extended to guiding coalitions. One of my favorite slides in the entire presentation. 180 new hires were welcomed at induction days. This year they experienced an increased focus on teaching and learning in the classroom. They got to dive into their first week of instruction, and they left having a scope and sequence for the first week of school. And if you have been a first-year teacher, you know sometimes you attend and you hear all of this information, but all you can really think about is what you're teaching in a few days. And so we shifted the focus a little bit, and as a result, 96% of participants felt the learning was relevant, timely, and differentiated to meet their unique needs. Another celebration. The SPS Back to School Kickoff was a success as all staff rallied around I Choose SPS. Dr. Lathan shared, and we got to celebrate as an entire district academic and attendance growth as we got excited and ready to kick off the school year. All sites have already attended Data and Dessert as they charted a course to proficiency for all students utilizing hot-off-the-press Renaissance data. As Dr. Holt shared, we get that data immediately, which is one difference between Renaissance and Galileo. So we were able to invite staffs in. The campus is focused on using the Student Mastery Report to identify students' current proficiency level on essential standards. Then they identified those prerequisite skills tied to those essential standards that might require reteach or intervention, and then they took the learning back to their campuses.
I don't know if this information makes you as excited as it makes me, but it's kind of nice to watch the work unfold. You forget when you're in the midst of it. Last but not least, Objective 1.6 is about how we enhance real-world opportunities for our students. More to celebrate here. Again, you're not unfamiliar, but 10 students receiving their CNA certification through their involvement in the Alliance of Healthcare Education, graduating our first cohort of students. We've also been to groundbreaking as well as ribbon cutting ceremonies for that, and we're excited about the continued expansion of this layer of choice. Launch Missouri Workforce is still going, and we're excited about additional funding that we're going to receive to be able to continue this programming. So Launch Agriculture Program chartered the very first in the nation virtual FFA chapter. If you haven't heard that story or seen the pictures, Dr. Lemon would be happy to educate you. It was a very exciting moment. We also opened global distribution and logistics pathways through Launch Missouri Workforce. And again, as we think about backwards planning, adding PLTW to middle school courses so that students have a leg up as they get ready to launch into those pathways in high school. So we added 3, design and modeling, app creators, and medical detectives. So again, continuing to support those pathways as early as our middle school PLTW. Career and technical education expansion includes the opening of the DECA store at Kickapoo this last spring. We also added family and consumer sciences to 2 more middle schools, both at Carver and Hickory Hills, and some additional pathways at Central, hospitality, and tourism. So again, continuing to find those opportunities where we can add career and tech to our middle and high schools. Here's just a brief by the numbers. So when you think about our students in career and technical student organizations, last year, 1,417 participated. That is an increase over the prior year. 465 industry recognized credentials were earned by our students across SPS. That number the prior year was 381. So we're continuing to gain those credentials for our students as they leave us. In addition, 581 students earning distinguished or advanced on their PLTW EOC. Again, you've seen them, you know about them, but our first cohort of Fly SPS students received their private pilot license. That's one of my favorite pictures that's in the presentation as well. Continuing to support our students with exploring those opportunities in the air. In addition, this year we wanted to make sure that we gave you a little bit more information about what we're doing for systems that we've had in SPS for quite some time, but we're continuing to evolve, and that includes our work with international baccalaureate programming. So just a recap of what happened on our elementary campuses. So you are well aware that those teachers have the opportunity for early release, but we were much more intentional with bringing those campuses together for one collective learning opportunity that happened in the spring. So all 3 schools and the teachers, both certified and classified staff members, attended at Boyd Elementary and had the opportunity to engage in collaboration and learning together, which was extremely powerful. If you were at the ribbon cutting this morning, you got to see our field IB ambassadors, but that is something that's being implemented at all of our primary years sites. Another student leadership opportunity through IB. And then consistently last year, our leaders at all 3 of the PYP campuses had the opportunity monthly with the executive director that supports them to walk those campuses and calibrate not only to the guaranteed and viable curriculum, but also to what they're doing for IB in classrooms across the system so that they can gauge the work and support teachers in those buildings. When we think about what's occurring at Pipkin Middle School, just wanted to give you a little data here that we had about 30 transfers that said, I want to raise my hand and be a member of IB in the middle years program last year. They're continuing to evolve their course design, which included a PLTW green architecture at Flight and Space. And they continue to engage our families in the district with relationship to showcasing what's happening in their World Family Night. So excited about what's happening both with our primary years program and middle years program. Not to be left out, just a little update on what's happening at Central High School. We're super excited about, through a generous donation from one of our donors last year, we were able to fund an IB exam for every student and covered that cost. While we typically, if we know of a need, we're able to meet it, this meant that we could cover that one exam for all of our students. So that was incredible. They had their first annual IB Service and Action Day where they, some of those students went to some of our primary years and middle years schools and did service projects, whether that was engaging in showcases that were occurring on those campuses or partnering with other institutions like MSU to serve. That occurred last year. And just some by the numbers, 487 IB assessments were taken by our IB juniors and seniors last year at Central. And 266 juniors and seniors were those that were that assessed last year. Just give you some numbers there. An exciting new piece is our implementation of the Leader in Me framework across our system. Last year about this time, we shared with you about our partnership with Franklin Covey, which was providing some learning at the time to our senior leaders about implementing the 7 habits, and we're now expanding that to a deployment in 4 of our schools. You can see them listed there: Jeffries, Mann, Watkins, and Westport K-8. So this is a framework that not only addresses academic outcomes, but also really supports and builds a leadership culture for students across the campus. And we're very excited about what this is going to do for all of those campuses engaged. We are able to have 2 district Leader in Me coaches, as well as 4 building level coaches that are on campus supporting the work of Leader in Me. Whew. We've had a lot going on, if you can't tell. But again, while we stand here sharing what is happening, this is really about teachers and leaders across our system, as well as those in the academic and departments. We have great staff members who are doing this amazing work across our system. Which leads us all to graduation day. Mark your calendars if you have not already. It will be Saturday, May 6th before you know it, and we will be walking all the amazing seniors that will be leaving us across that stage to get their diploma, which is what we're all here for. Thank you again. Dr. Majors and I are humbled and privileged to serve the district in the way that we do, and we're thankful for the opportunity to share the great work.
Well, wow.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Board members, questions, comments? Board Member Provance?
I was really excited. There we go. I was really excited to hear about the paras, being able to get more training and definitely being able to move up to complete the education to be hired on full time. That is tremendous. That is a big need, and for both the district and the individuals. So thanks for taking care of everybody on that one.
I'll say too, we really appreciate the partnership with MSU that's allowing us to do that great work.
Other board members? Board Member Thomas Tate?
I had a similar comment to Board Member Provance. I was particularly pleased to see so much professional learning happening I mean, there's a lot of professional learning happening, and the nerd in me enjoys professional learning. I don't know that everyone wants to do that professional learning before school, after school, during the summers. However, those opportunities are very valuable, and I just want a little clarity and clarification about how teachers, in particular, choose and participate in professional learning. They have options that they can do. It's no longer you have to do these ones.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, because we had new curriculum implementation, there was no choice for August. Next year, August will look different because on the elementary side, we will not be adopting a big math or ELA curriculum. In November, we have the November Teach Forward, which is coming up, is more of a conference where they have choice. They get to attend a 3-hour session in the morning, and there's lots of opportunities that they get to choose from. So it's kind of a mix of choice. Sometimes they get choice, and sometimes they don't due to curriculum adoption.
I'm also just very pleased to see that there's so much training opportunities and professional learning opportunities across the system, from the staff members and paras and teachers and leadership teams, principals. Everyone has these opportunities. I'm very pleased that the paraprofessionals have these opportunities to get more training and opportunity. 475 participants, is that like
A lot.
a lot?
It is.
That seems remarkable to get so many, and it tells me that they're thirsty for it. I don't know if they're required to do it, but that seems to be an indicator of their desire to gain more experience. I know that I've heard from a lot of parents, and they carry a heavy load in special education, and getting that additional training may help with the burnout and all the other things, and getting better outcomes all the way across the board. The substitute teachers, professional learning. I know we've offered some of those things before. 53, is that a good number?
That number is higher than it was at the beginning of the year last year. What we tend to see is a pretty big group that show up before school starts, and then as we offer additional offerings across the year, that number dwindles just a little bit, less engagement as we get later in the year. But we typically have a good size amount that show up for those very beginning trainings.
The strategic supports that were offered at the target schools, what kinds of programming have they been selecting for their schools? Can you tell me more about what kinds of things they're deciding to do for their learning?
Yeah, so principals and their guiding coalitions are getting a lot of choice in what that looks like, because they know most specifically what the gaps might be, or what for their students, or the things that their teachers would really benefit the most from. Several of our campuses did a menu of options at the beginning of the year. You can engage in this or that. I can send you some of those calendars so you can see the specific options. But again, what we really held to be close was, how are you ensuring that the instruction that you're delivering is meeting the needs of your students? So it really needs to be targeted with relationship to that, closing gaps for our students.
I got a couple more, still got time left. The Newcomer Academy, how does this work? How do students get enrolled in it? Where is it happening across the district? And what does participation look like for these students?
Yeah, so we have basically, the idea is, if you think our gifted program, we bus kids to Phelps, it's similar. So we have hubs across the district. We have a few of them, and really we determine what sites those are at. This is our second year, and we shifted some of that based on numbers at campuses. If we have a high number of students at McGregor, it doesn't make sense to bus them to Williams. We'll just have Newcomer Academy at McGregor. So lots of last minute decisions on that, but students attend Newcomer Academy either once or twice a week, and they spend, I think what's exciting is those students are still getting benchmark advanced curriculum, but there is a different version of it that is customized for them. So what's exciting is that they're not missing out on that grade level instruction. They're just receiving additional supports from trained ELD specialists. So we look at their scores, and so if you've ever met Dr. Klinkenbeard, she does not like to tell a student no. So we have a criteria that students are selected, but she's embedded some criteria that's a little bit gray. So if a principal really feels like this family or this student should be in the program, we can get them into the program.
And the Newcomer Academy is not just language, it's more than language?
It's primarily language, yes.
Couple more questions, or comment first. the launch virtual expansion. Love that. I love that we continue to be a leader in this space. That's kudos to our district for taking that lead in that space. We're doing things that nobody else is doing, and I love that. The IB ambassadors, can you tell me more about that?
It's essentially, think like student leadership, right? So those students, I can just give you an example of what I know I've seen on campuses. They're out on the first day of school. They might be fifth graders or upperclassmen at the elementary school that are supporting students, kindergartners, as they engage on the first day of school. So it's really kind of that leadership team that a principal would have, but it's students.
I'm just very pleased with what you guys presented. I do want to know that when the state data comes out, will we have another presentation from you all?
Yes, ma'am. We are fingers crossed, right, Bruce? November. I'm going to just put it in the space, and if anyone from DESI's listening, hopefully, we're hoping for November. Usually it's December, but we're hoping for November.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? Board Member Huff? Vice President Kincaid?
Sure, I'll go.
Absolutely.
I don't really have any questions. Your presentation was great. And, I just want to say that the work of our teachers is amazing. And the talk about accountability and holding each other to high standards is really great because it starts at the top. And when we have high expectations for our teachers, they have high expectations for our students, and parents have high expectations, right, to be engaged. And I saw the opportunity to give that engagement through family toolkits and, the reveal math. I got the reveal math stuff at my house, and, there's exciting things going on in our district. I also think it's really important to understand that teachers don't just walk into the classroom and start teaching, and that's something that I knew that wasn't how it worked, but just having served for the few months that I've been on the board, it's been really powerful to see how we're using data and how our teachers are using data to connect with kids where they are and to understand how each kid is connecting with the curriculum. And that's a lot of work, right? If you have 20 some odd kids in your classroom, understanding where each of those kids are. And so it's good work, and I'm glad we're doing it, but I want to make sure that we're recognizing and supporting those teachers as they're using that data.
Board Member Kincaid? Okay.
I have follow-up, is that okay?
Yes, let me make my comment first. Comments. I was interested in the universal screener scores. Do we look back to see, and I'm not even sure how it would be done, you all could probably figure that out. How do we compare what the kids are doing in the fall as to how they did in the spring? I'm wondering, are we looking at measuring lost learning in the summer, during the summer months? Do we do comparison there?
So once this is in place, right? So now that this is essentially our baseline data, for lack of better words, we'll not only be able to compare MOI to BOI, right? But year over year comparison.
But we had a screener last year. It just doesn't
Yes.
coincide with, okay,
Correct.
got it. All right. I'm interested in the reading success plans for secondary students.
So are we.
Okay, well, and this is and I'm not expecting an answer, but I will make a speech about it, a short one. Because I asked Dr. Lathan about it just recently this week. I know that more and more the end of course exams, EOCs, at the secondary level are very reading intense. So we're not only just testing their knowledge in biology at the EOC or government at the EOC, we're also testing their reading. I guess what I would hope that people really stop and think, and this is one of the reasons I think we have to be really cautious about some of the data that we're given and to not misunderstand what the score might mean. Because if a student really is reading significantly below grade level, and, we've got some high school kids that are 4th, 5th grade reading level. That's not a terrible reading level, but it's not going to help them. I mean, I'm speaking, you know how I mean that, but it's not where we want them to be, but they'll be able to function. But I worry that we're not testing content, and so we give people the wrong idea. These kids know nothing about blah, 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 when it may be they just couldn't decode what the question was. So I'll just say that. And then how many were taking advantage of the Learning Lab of the teaching, recording the lesson. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, so it's brand new, so we're not sure yet.
Okay,
Yeah, that's brand new this fall, so
okay,
we will be reporting on we'll give you numbers later this year.
okay. I appreciate that. We've already covered the paraprofessionals and the substitute teachers. That's amazing. Your presentation, and I should know this one, but I don't. WIDA access, what is that?
That's the screener that our ELL students
Got
get in January to February. And it just assesses their English proficiency
Yeah.
and the English language.
Thank you. Another comment, Dr.
Yes,
Thomas Tate?
You brought up some things that I meant to comment on. I had so much written down, I forgot some things. I had a question. Approximately how many of the students, how much do those IB exams cost? Approximately how much?
Ooh, I
They're
don't
pretty
know cost.
expensive?
I don't know cost. Ben? Anybody? Sheila?
No
Okay.
one knows?
We'll get back to you.
Okay,
We can
okay.
find out.
I just wanted to know how much it costs. I appreciate the fact that there's some donor who's offering opportunity for those to be paid for, but also about how many does each IB student take? How many of those?
So there's an exam per, the course is usually what we want to have happen if they're in an IB course of that level is that they would take the exam at the end. So you saw the N for juniors and seniors that were assessed, which was lower than the number of assessments we gave, which would mean that more Sharita might take more than one IB exam. Likely would.
Sarah mentioned it, and I failed to mention it. The Family Curriculum Academy, love, love, love. I went through and looked at the Family Toolkit. I love the fact that we're getting parents more involved in their children's education. We know that kids are more successful when their parents are engaged in giving them the information about what's happening in the classroom month by month with regards to like the standards and expectations. Love it. Love how we're engaging the families in that way. And also the same thing that Judy mentioned with regards to the middle school pathways to progress for the middle school's reading success plan. Can't wait to hear more about that.
Yeah. Yep. That was a August gift to us. So more information coming.
Well, that's when we work the problem, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
Of course. All right. Yes, Board Member Provence?
We are indebted to PenMac for being able to get us subs. So glad that they get some training before they come in on that day when half the classroom is sick, and the other half is enjoying a day off. You talked about if a school was low achieving, that all the staff went to training. How do you guys do that with the limited subs? Is this
Not during school hours.
In the summer.
during the summer? Okay, so it's not something that we tag throughout the year when we see that.
They're compensated for their time to attend in the summer.
We really tried to eliminate anything that's under the learning that's under our purview from being during the school year. Sometimes we have to do that, like our new teachers is a great example. We need their ongoing touch points across the school year. But outside of that, we really try not to pull our teachers for learning in that way during the school year because of what we know about obtaining substitutes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to add, the IB exams run anywhere from $120 to $130
Thank
per
you.
exam.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, ladies, very much. Next, we have Executive Director of Operations, Mr. Dilday. He'll present information on the 2023 change orders and agreements.
Good evening. On the change order agreements this evening, I want to point out a couple things. This evening is only agreements. There's no change orders coming before the board tonight, so that's always positive news. The first line item for $314,960 is phase one for access control. That is a safety and security addition that was part of the bond issue, and that is the phase one, which will include all 5 high schools and Studi. There will be additional phases that will come to the board. The next phase, of course, will be the middle schools. Then we'll move into the elementary buildings. Is there any questions I can answer?
Maybe just for my understanding on that, what all does that include? High-level access controls, what does that mean?
So the access control is our swipe badges that gets
Okay.
us into the buildings. So it'll limit the access to specific doors. And when we work through our school police team to identify it along with the education side.
Anything else? Questions? Comments? The recommended action is that the board approve the expenditures as presented. Do I have a motion? By Board Member Provance, a second. By Vice President Kincaid. Any further discussion? Let's vote and hope it comes up. And we have 5 out of 5 affirmative votes. It's now time for the superintendent's update. Dr. Lathan, do you have any updates for us?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, board members again. Exciting day, actually, in a week for us as it relates to Proposition S projects. Today, we held the ribbon cutting ceremony at Field World School for the 4 additional classrooms that we opened there. And then on Thursday at 4:30, we'll host the ribbon cutting at Wilder Elementary School. Would like to thank the Foundation for Springfield Public Schools and Natalie Murdoch. Over the past week, they awarded over $205,000 in back-to-school, yes, that's a round of applause, grants to our sites. Over 77 grants were awarded at 41 school sites. So once again, thank you to the Foundation for Springfield Public Schools. This past Friday, we hosted our fall Principal for a Day. We had over 50 community and business leaders out at our various sites shadowing our principals. I want to continue to say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for partnering with us for this event on an annual, actually twice a year. February 26th will be our next date. The 2025 SPS Hall of Fame event will be held on October 16th. We're recognizing the following graduates from Springfield Public Schools. Former Mayor Ken McClure, who was a 1968 graduate of Parkview High School. And of course, he served as Springfield Mayor for 8 years and was recently appointed by the governor to the Missouri Ethics Commission. Warren Robinette is a 1970 graduate of Glendale High School. He invented the action adventure video game and was an early developer of educational software for children. And finally, Nancy Allen, a 1974 graduate of Glendale High School. She is an attorney, but also an author in 3 legal thrillers. And I actually have an autographed copy from her, and I'm going to bring it and take a picture with her when we have the event. With another one of my favorite authors, James Patterson, and they have been on the New York Times bestseller list. So excited about the October 16th event. Board members, that concludes my comments for this evening.
Well, everybody's busy, aren't they? Yes. Other comments, board members? Board Member Provance.
I attended the Central football game, and I was thrilled to see faculty members. You're always going to find the parents and the grandparents in the crowd, but they had a really nice crowd, and it was well attended. I was pleased to see so many people who had previously attended Central. Let's go way back. Some of them went way back, and they wanted to make sure that football would always be a sport at Central. And I thought that everyone realized that this was the right decision not to play varsity level when we have younger and smaller players. Coach Johnson and his staff, they did a wonderful job. They did not put a player out there that wasn't going to be able to protect themselves. Like I said, it was a great crowd, and it was evident that football will always be a sport at Central High School. Yes, I had put down that I wanted to thank Natalie Murdoch and the foundation. It's such a big day, grant day, when the teachers get their classroom grants, and over $200,000 in grants. Made a lot of teachers happy. I was glad that that many were had sought the opportunity to expand their classroom. The principal of the day was a big success, and always is. They kind of have to sign up early to get their school of choice. I was at the Field ribbon cutting, and I saw their selected ambassadors, and I looked out at all these kids, and they were so mature for their age. And you realize, you know, they've had a great curriculum. In the Springfield Public Schools, you have a great education. These students had a lot of opportunities through our activities programs and everything else, and they are mature beyond their years. And then you realize these kids are just going to take off and be our future leaders. I mean, that's what I think the IB program is all supposed to do. So kudos, IB, you're spot on. It is always amazing when I listen to the Danielle, and, Nicole and Crystal, I'm sorry. Your presentations are always wonderful. They encourage our teachers to do well. I know you have high expectations for them. It goes down to the high expectations that students have to learn. Students don't go to school to, I don't have nothing else to do. Students go to school to learn now. And your school of choice gives the kids so many opportunities. If you're going to take a kid fishing, it doesn't make any difference how you bait the hook. And the kids have so many choices. They will find their niche. Thank you all.
Thank you. Other board members? Dr. Thomas Tate?
I just wanted to mention that I was able to attend the debriefing for the principal for a day. And I've been able to attend this event for several years now. And it is amazing to hear the participants give their information about what they got from it. I mean, I heard people talking about it being a transformative day for them and what they wanted to give back to Springfield Public Schools after that opportunity. There were a lot of new people who participated, but also lots of returning people who love it so much they've done multiple opportunities of being principal for a day. It's a great program. I'm so glad that you and the chamber have put this together for this to happen. It's been a wonderful opportunity to change the minds and expand the minds of those in the district about Springfield Public Schools. I also want to mention that we had the opportunity to attend a regional MSBA conference in Nixa, who were a wonderful host. We won't talk more about that, but they were great hosts, and we learned a lot about some of the updated legislative issues in public schools and finance issues in public schools. So that was a great opportunity for us to get some additional learning.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Huff?
I'll just add, I also had the opportunity to attend the debrief from principal for a day, and a great event, a lot of good report outs from our community members who served as principal for a day. But one thing that was kind of a common thread in the comments that I stuck in my head were leaders acknowledging the work that our educators are doing around behavior. And many comments about, I watched a principal diffuse a situation, or I watched a teacher redirect a child, or I watched this. And so that work is happening in our schools, and that was nice to hear that community members saw that in action.
Thank you. Yes. Ms. Kincaid?
Be very brief. The principal for a day, I did want to echo on that. The text messages that I received, people were so excited, and I'm happy that our public has an opportunity, not just through principal for a day, but multiple opportunities to be in our schools, because it truly, public school is the community school. So thank you for bringing that and other programs to SPS. And I also just want to comment, we honor excellence practically every single board meeting, and so I don't want to take away from anybody, but I'm going to mispronounce her last name, Barbara, Miss K. The amount of positivity and excitement that she has after 40 years of being a school teacher is just impressive. And I know that there are other Miss K types out there in our district, and it was just really pleasurable to see. So thank you for bringing her in, and thank you, Ms. K, for you and all of our public school teachers.
Okay. Well, I, over the weekend, got a text message from a couple of friends of mine, and they own the Rockspan Farm out by Bodark, And each year, it's Dan and Mike Childs, longtime friends, and each year they take and offer their farm as a learning experience for students. And so recently, I think last Friday on Principal of a Day, for a day, Boyd students, Boyd Elementary, first and second graders, I believe, and this is what Dan Childs wrote to me that they did that day. Students looked at walking sticks, picked walnuts, sampled elderberries, smelled otter poop, chased frogs, collected friendship rocks, counted tree rings, collected ancient horsetails, heated a leaf with sun-focused magnifying lenses, learned about stream bank erosion, studied solar collectors, walked over a tumbling waterfall, identified poison ivy, and learned where the drinking water in Springfield comes from, because it goes right through their farm into Stockton Lake. So, it does take a village, and these gentlemen have made their farm, their tree farm. They're heavily involved with agriculture and are preserving our planet and conserving the wonderful country that we have. So thank you to them for hosting it, and thank you to the principal and teachers at Boyd that were able to facilitate it and get those kids out there to smell otter poop, mind you. So there you go. Something that I bet other people in this room haven't done yet. Okay, upcoming meetings, October 14th, study session, October 28th, the regular meeting. The recommended action at this point is that the board adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Thomas Tate, second. Board Member Provance, let's vote. Okay, and we're still not showing everyone, so we'll, okay. Well, I'm going to do a roll call vote. Okay, all in favor? Coach Provance? Aye. Chair votes aye. We are done. Thank you all.